to do one thing and it didn't work out, so I'm gonna have this cheesy music in the background now. Welcome in, Silver Goddess 21. First. Alright. So, I wanted to do a Bible study type of deal. But it turns out that the Bible app that I downloaded on my Xbox, it can't be streamed. That's why you saw that the Xbox logo and the purple and light blue kind of splash screen there. And when that happens, I can't be heard. So that's kind of where we're at. So I am going to do this from my phone. And at the very least, anyone who's interested can, stick around and listen to Bible study. Have me on in the background and all that good stuff. It's fine too. So, before we get started, I want to have a quick word of prayer. I try not to open up the Bible without praying because I need understanding. And I believe that understanding does not come from me. Dear Lord and most gracious Heavenly Father, thank you and praise you. We're able to be alive. We're able to learn more about you as we open up the Bible. Ask that all understanding come from you. That you may teach us something for our lives and our situations today. Amen. Okay. So, 1 Corinthians chapter 13 is known as the love chapter. Why, you say? Because it talks about love in depth and in a practical way. Now this chapter isn't, to me, what I've read before. I mean, it could change by the end of this session. Is that this love that is spoken here isn't one particular type of love, but it's talking about love for any other being, any other piece of humanity. I would say more so humanity. Well, no, actually, I could say just love in general. Like, these are rules to live by for love in general. We're gonna get started here. So, as I said, 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 1 reads, "If I could speak all the languages of earth and of angels, but didn't have love, but didn't love others, I would only be a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal. If I had the gift of prophecy, and if I understood all God's secret plans and possessed all knowledge, and if I had such faith that I could move mountains, but didn't love others, I would be nothing. If I gave everything I have to the poor, and even sacrificed my body, I could boast about it, but if I didn't love others, I would have gained nothing." Alright, so we're gonna jump back up to verse 1. I mean, if you're following along. Yeah, I'm having to hold the mic like at the perfect position, but I don't want to pop because this mic did not come with a pop filter. So I'm trying to angle it in such a way that those pops don't come through as much. Sorry for that. So, this is coming across from the writer. He's saying that he could know all the languages of earth and of angels. Right? That's crazy knowledge. I have knowledge of like 7 languages, and sometimes they get mixed up in my brain. So if you come to the point where you can speak not only earthly languages but heavenly languages, like, that is, in my opinion, something to be able to boast about. But if you don't have love at that point, it's like you might as well just be a noisy gong and a clanging cymbal. So basically an annoyance. As a drummer, like I drum for church, and sometimes I'll play music and I'll get into a groove, and then I'll get into a rut. So much so that I'll hear the cymbal that I'm hitting as annoying. It's like, okay, I need to change it up because I need more space between the crash and the crash hits. I've had somebody in church come up to me and state that they are high functioning autistic and ask me to play a certain way, or if I could not play certain things in repetition close to each other. And it provides a challenge, to be able to carry the music in such a way and not turn somebody off from the praise and worship. Being able to do that for somebody is definitely strange, but a powerful hold that I would have over the music. Because what a lot of people don't realize is that drums play a huge part in the tempo and the way that the song is interpreted to you as the listener. It is so easy to be a drummer that is only concerned with themselves. And you can see when a drummer is out of harmony and what that does to the song, what that does to the music, and then how it is interpreted. There is so much variation that can happen with drums, to where you can be playing, in a different time signature technically, and still be carrying out everything that you need to do in the music. So like breakdowns at halftime and speeding up notes to make the song seem a little more busy or to fill in empty spots. All of that can be done with the drums while all the other instruments are just playing normally. Yeah, it's a little crazy as far as the accessibility aspect to it. I didn't know about it until they came up and asked me, hey, could you not do this? I was like, what? I didn't know that was a thing. Alright, I'll try. I feel like it's been okay thus far, but it then becomes me listening to the song that is being requested for, praise and worship, then internalizing that song, and then not regurgitating it, but putting it out in such a way that it is accepted by everybody. So, and that's verse 1. So we're talking about having knowledge and using your knowledge devoid of love would be like a clanging cymbal or a noisy gong. You ever get those know-it-all people? Where it's like no matter what you say, they're just like, oh yeah, I knew that, yeah, and I knew this too, and I know that too. It's never a good look. It's never a good look. Alright, so we move on to verse 2. If I had the gift of prophecy, and if I understood all God's secret plans, and possessed all knowledge, and if I had such faith that could move mountains, but didn't love others, I would be nothing. So now this goes back again to knowledge. And this is, of course, Paul. And the reason I love Paul, I love reading his works in the Bible, is because he makes Christianity not only accessible, but he makes it plain and practical. So we're talking again about knowledge. You know, he literally says, possessed all knowledge. So if you're that, like, you're around that know-it-all person, you know, and they just spitting out facts, and thanks for the lurk, and they're spitting out facts, and they're just like, they don't care about the conversation that's being had. They just want to be seen as the person who has the answers or the person who has the knowledge. There's an issue there. It's great to contribute to conversation. It's great to show that you're knowledgeable on a subject. But in my opinion, it's even better to be able to learn something from the conversation. And it might be that that person isn't devoid of love, but their speech comes across as that. To where you say, oh, well, I knew that because of this. Versus saying, oh, you know what? I always understood it this way. Or, hey, you know, I can see that you have passion for this, and like you seem like you might have a little bit of knowledge. What do you think about this way that I've always understood it? Instead of showing your knowledge, invite other people to the conversation. Because you might be a leading published author, you know, in your field. You might be an expert. But sometimes hearing the way that other people understand things can change your worldview. Just saying. Alright, so we're moving on to verse 3. If I gave everything I have to the poor, and even sacrificed my body, I could boast about it, but if I didn't love others, I would have gained nothing. Oh, I'm reminded of Judas Iscariot, the one who betrayed Jesus, because he constantly wanted to give money to the poor. That was kind of his thing. Like, he wanted to give money to the poor. Oh, let us take care of the poor. And that's great. But clearly he didn't have all that much love. You know, maybe he was doing it for accolades, to be able to say, oh yeah, you know, well, we gave so much money to the poor. Companies do that nowadays. They just want the tax write-off. You can do good things for the wrong purpose. It's a thing. Jesus said that a woman who gives her last 2 pennies gives more than a rich person that gives, you know, hundreds upon thousands upon millions of dollars to the church. And it's true. It costs a lot more to give when you're poor, because you might not know where your next meal is coming from. But once you give that little bit and help somebody else, trust me, it definitely feels good. I'm not rich. And I was just talking to somebody the other day. I said, I might not be able to give money all the time, But for sure, if I give you my time, that's big for me, because I know I can never get time back. How time is spent, that's it. You can make more money, you can invest and get your good ROI, but once you give time, that's it. All right, so we're going to move on to verse 4 here. And this is talking about the attributes or the characteristics of somebody who loves, right? So it goes on to say, 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 4, love is patient and kind. Love is not jealous or boastful or proud or rude. It does not demand its own way. It is not irritable, and it keeps no record of being wronged. It does not rejoice about injustice, but rejoices whenever the truth wins out. Love never gives up, never loses faith, is always hopeful, and endures through every circumstance. It was actually a little strange to me to read it in something that is not King James or New King James. But let's jump back up to verse 4. Now these first two. Love is patient. Like that right there. In today's world, everybody's like, so I want it fast. I want it instant. I want it right now. We had, well, I mean, I'm probably showing my age a little bit. Instant messaging when that first came out. AOL. America Online. They coined it. They had it first. AOL instant messaging. It was fast. It was instant. You get that little sound notification and you know that you need to write back, and boom, 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 boom. You're talking about people halfway across the world instantly communicating with each other. I mean, don't get me wrong. Phones were out there, but you had to pay for long distance calls. Nowadays, we have such a need for patience. We need that worked in us because everything is at our fingertips. We have computers in our pockets. We have Amazon same day delivery, not even 2-day anymore. There are some areas you can get Amazon same day delivery. This doesn't help anybody's patience, especially Americans. Americans go abroad and they're just like, okay, well, I want this and I want it now. Well, I'm sorry, well, it can't happen like that. Okay, how much is it gonna cost? That's a lot of people don't like Americans because that we have that outlook. You going abroad and it's like, okay, well, I want it now. How much is it gonna cost? Everybody has a price. It's like, man, it's serious, but we need to have more patience. We need to be able to wait. We need to be able to sit with our own thoughts. Just try to work that in yourself because it'll only be better for everybody involved. Now we have fast food. When's the last time you went to a restaurant, sat down to eat, and you weren't always looking at your phone or your watch saying, okay, well, I got somewhere else to be, you know, I have these plans and this is not. Take life a little bit slower. At least sometimes. You don't always have to be in a rush. Alright, so that was talking about patience. You know, all of that just for patience. Love is kind. I feel like that's pretty self-explanatory. You're not gonna meet somebody who says, "Oh, I love you," and then does everything opposite what you would want. And I highlight everything opposite because sometimes we need a little tough love. You know, mommy, daddy, I want ice cream for breakfast. Like, no, that's not happening because we know the result of, and because we love you, we're not going to let you do that to yourself. There's those instances. But if you meet somebody, whether platonic or otherwise, and they say, hey, I really don't like when you call me such a pet name or, nickname, but you do it anyway, repeatedly. Yeah, that's not love. That's, I don't know what it is. I mean, you could call it hatred, but it's a pretty strong word. We move on. Love is not jealous or boastful or proud. So we got a trifecta right there. Jealous, boastful, proud. And these are emotions that have a big amount of weight behind them. But not necessarily bad. All right. So jealousy in and of itself isn't terrible, because you can be jealous of somebody's spiritual gift, and that's actually what Paul talks about in chapter 12 of 1 Corinthians. If you have the time, I would suggest going back there. He talks about how everybody has their own special gift that they can use for God, right? And he equates it to the body, that an ear can't say, oh, you know what, I'd rather be an eye, so let me try to see. A foot can't say, I'd rather be a hand, so let me try to grab something. Every person has their own special skill set that makes them ideal for something special. And sometimes we can't see that in ourselves. So we have to tell somebody, that positive encouragement, it's big. Being able to say, you know what? I really do see leadership skills in you. Have you considered doing something with that? Hey, I noticed your ability to draw. Maybe you would like to do one of our posters promoting something or such a thing. Oh, you're really good with organization. Would you like to help organize this event? Little things like that will help a person realize what they naturally have, and to highlight that in such a way that they are proud of what gifts they have. And that goes into, proud. I think the words that are missing here is more so when those things come back to self. And I've always said that selfishness begets sinfulness. If you're always thinking about yourself, then you will be sinful, because it's all about you. Now, if you're thinking about others first, then that won't be the issue. But if you're jealous because you want, versus you saying, you know what, I could be better. I really like the way that this person does their drawings, and I think that I can learn to do that. Versus just saying, oh, well, I want that skill, and if I don't get that skill, then I'm nothing. It's two different connotations to look at. Being boastful in and of yourself, saying, look at me, is one thing. But being boastful of somebody else, saying, you know what, look at them, they're so great, they're such a great person. You're boasting on the behalf of somebody else. You're not putting that back on you. And the same thing goes for pride. If you're proud of yourself and you're always looking at yourself, then yeah, there's going to be an issue. But you can definitely say, I've said to my daughter, you know what, I'm proud of the person you're becoming. I'm proud of what you're doing here. I'm proud of you. And that means the world. having somebody say that they're proud of you, or having somebody say, I believe in you, or I believe in what you're doing, can totally change somebody's outlook. So love is also not rude. I mean, I feel like we covered it pretty thoroughly. It does not demand its own way. I mean, I don't want to beat the dead horse, but you can't say that you love somebody and only be doing for you. It just doesn't make sense. If I tell somebody I love them, then at the very least in that moment, I'm thinking about them. And of course, there's different levels of love, you know, and if you're a Christian, then you're gonna hear it probably all weekend. The 5 different types of love, and you know how we need to look at how we show love, and who we show love to, and how we show love to those we show love to. When it boils down to it, being aware of the fact that love is not an arrow pointing at me. It's an outstretched hand for others. It's, hey, let me do for you, or I have your best interest in mind. It's not saying, hey, I'm saying I love you so that I can hear it back. It's not saying, hey, I love you so that I can get something done for me. It's, hey, I love you, so let me make sure that you're good. That's it. It is not irritable. So love is not irritable. And it keeps no record of being wronged. There's definitely, you know, people out there who they're just crotchety, you know, like they are, oh yes, miserable. And I say that word with such gravity because look, I love my people. I love them to death. But Jamaicans, some miserable people, like just angry to be angry sometimes. And you would encounter these people and wonder, like, man, have you ever been loved? Has that ever been a thing in your life? But some of them are just miserable. And I've seen some miserable Jamaicans when they have grandchildren. Oh man, they're completely different people. But it is something serious to imagine that those people would have felt love or be capable of loving is almost a mystery. The next characteristic of love that was mentioned is keeps no record of being wronged. And I feel like that's a big one because so many times we do something wrong, right? And then we as people, we can't let go of it if somebody else does before us. And we feel like we need to do something in order to make it right. It's not, I would say it's not wrong to want to have that shalom. And there's a whole study right there. Shalom, like the peace between having having the debt cleared is also another way to use shalom. We don't always need to do, and that's something that has come from a Roman rule, to where if the scales are imbalanced, then there's something wrong. If I don't do, then my salvation is not assured. I need to be able to work for my own. To where now it's hard for people to receive gifts without them feeling like, oh, I have to pay them back. I have to do this. Sometimes people just want to be nice. And because of that, so often people aren't blessed by the blessing. They're just looking for a way to repay the blessing. So now if somebody takes from unintentionally or intentionally, and it's brought up to them, it's like, oh, well, I need to make it right. I want to make sure that we're on the same ground, like we're on equal footing. Sometimes it's needed. Sometimes it is needed. But I feel like that's the job of the person who was wronged, to be able to say, you know what, this is what will make it right. And if that person is saying, if they're honestly saying, and that's for that person to wrestle with, if they're saying, you know what, we're good, let's just move on, then you're good, just move on. Do not keep beating the dead horse, because what it does is it doesn't let anybody get over what happened. Okay, so verse 6 we're in right now. And this is a pretty short chapter. It's only 13 verses. Verse 6 of chapter 13 of 1 Corinthians. It does not rejoice about injustice, but rejoices whenever the truth wins out. That is so deep. And here's why I believe it's deep. Because so often when somebody is wronged, if we hear that somebody is wronged, then we're calling for blood. Justice is not oppressing the oppressor. Okay? That's not what justice is. Justice is seeing that the offending party does pay for their actions, but it's not something that we take into our own hands. So often you hear some of these movements that come out, and don't get me wrong, I am black, and Black Lives Matter, that was a very powerful movement, but there were some people in said movement that were calling for blood. I don't want anybody's blood on my hands. At all. Ever. When it comes to that, we cannot seek to oppress the oppressor. We cannot lower ourselves to that base standard to where we're looking at an eye for an eye. That'll leave everybody blind. It's the truth. But when truth wins out, be able to rejoice. And that's one big thing. When people go to trial and justice is seen, no no matter how you believe it to be, that is something that we can rejoice in. There have been a lot of big trials recently, a lot of high profile trials recently, in recent years and recently. And the verdicts that come out, sometimes people are just like, no, I don't agree with that, this, and that. It might not be what you agree with, but it is justice. That is part of. And me personally, I go by what the Bible says. Vengeance is mine, says the Lord. It's not for me to seek to have somebody's punishment. It's not for me to seek out their punishment. If I believe that I serve a God who has everybody's best interest at heart, I mean, and there's a whole mess of things there, because I know that I'm opening up a can of worms. If I believe I serve a God that has everybody's best interest at heart, I can't supersede him in punishment to others. It just does not make sense to me. It does not make sense for that to be what my God does. And I say it specifically that way because of a quote from Mark Twain. There are as many religions as there are people to interpret. And I've seen people in my same, umbrella of Christianity, completely different mindset, completely different outlook on the Bible. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not a divisive person. I look more at what makes us similar than what doesn't. We have two eyes. We have a nose, a mouth, 2 ears. I'm more worried about that versus your political alignment, versus your religious alignment, versus skin tone. I'm not really worried about all that. But I know that if you cut, you bleed. And so do I. Alright. So, verse 7. Love never gives up, never loses faith, is always hopeful, and endures through every circumstance. I was just talking to somebody last week. I do a lot of talking. I also do a lot of listening. But I was talking to somebody and they were trying to move forward with a specific thing in their life. Hey, Rosique. Thanks for dropping by. We're just talking about love and the characteristics of love. And when you have love, how it changes what you do. So I was talking to this person last week, and they wanted to move forward with something in their personal life. I haven't asked anybody about these stories. That's why I'm keeping it as ambiguous as I can. Chances are, if somebody listens to this and they were that person, they will know exactly what I'm talking about. But that's about it. Talking to this person who said they wanted to advance their career last week. Well, actually months ago I talked to them originally. Last week they told me that they cannot advance their career in that manner. And I had to tell them, hey, don't worry about it. I don't know if you're a Christian, if you're a believer, but at the very least, you like nice things, right? Gold is one of the nicer things that people can buy and afford and all that good stuff. If gold never went through fire, it would never be pure. So as people, if we want to be made better, we're gonna have to go through some hard times. That's baseline. I was just talking to my daughter. She said that she doesn't like pressure. I was like, girl, you're gonna encounter so much more pressure in your life. Pressure is what starts you on your way towards something. Whether a decision for or against, we can't look at those times where it's difficult and just give up. That's what it says, love never gives up, because it doesn't. If you love somebody, you're going to go through thick and thin for them. Period. And I hope that everybody under the sound of my voice loves somebody to the point that they are willing to do for them. And I pray under the sound of my voice that everybody is listening has somebody that's willing to do that for them as well. Because when you're willing to do for somebody and that somebody's willing to do for you, whether romantic, platonic, otherwise, it begets a cycle to where you're taking care of them and they're taking care of you. Your shortcomings are now overseen, and so are theirs. It's like a puzzle piece. You know, this one has extra positive space, this one has extra negative space, but they fit together to make something new. That's what love is supposed to be. I don't care if you're Christian, I don't care if you're Buddhist, I don't care if you're non-denominational, I don't care if you're atheist, I don't care if you're black with purple polka dots, if you're green, yellow, red. Love is taking care of those around you. It is seeing the needs of others before your own needs. And if everybody did that, we'd live in a completely different world. But we've been taught for so long, look out for number one. Now, if you don't look out for number one, nobody else will. And I guess that's true in today's age, that if you don't look out for number one, nobody else will. But maybe we need to change things. To me, a few more verses. I'm engrossed in this. I'm invested. We've been talking for almost an hour, but I'm ready to get through the rest of this. I say get through. I'm not rushing this at all. Verse 8 of chapter 13 of 1 Corinthians. We're going through 1 Corinthians 13. Also giving additional reading if you want to start from chapter 12, because it is, in my opinion, the two chapters, all of the chapters of 1 Corinthians go together, but 12 and 13, to me, they need to be read together versus alone. But I wanted to highlight chapter 13 because it's called the love chapter for a reason. Verse 8 reads, prophecy and speaking in unknown languages and special language will become useless, but love will last forever. Now our knowledge is partial and incomplete, and even the gift of prophecy reveals only part of the whole picture. But when the time of perfection comes, these partial things will become useless. Alright, so now this is, if you've been following along, this mirrors the first part of chapter 13. Because Paul is writing in the very first part of chapter 13, if I speak all the languages of man and of angels, but I don't have love, then I'm just a noisy gong and clanging cymbal. And then he says, if I had the gift of prophecy and understood all God's, plans and mysteries and didn't have love, it would be nothing. He said, if I gave everything I had to the poor and even sacrificed my body, I could boast about it, but if I didn't have love, it would be nothing gained. So it's 3 verses and 3 verses. I don't think that that's by coincidence. But then again, verses were added after the fact. We can go into that. But it stands to reason that this same, I don't want to say ideology, the same structure, the same ideas are being repeated in such a way that they are ordered in the same way that they came before. I don't think it's by accident. I believe that he's writing this to call emphasis to what was already said. He says prophecy is speaking unknown languages, and special knowledge become useless, but love will last forever. So there's people that are out there gathering anything that they can get their hands on, speaking all the languages that they can to try to be boastful. But the languages are going to pass away. Like, those knowledge, they're not forever. How they say, somebody may forget your name, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. That's true. There are some names that I've forgotten, but there are some people that have been impactful in my life. I've had teachers who, I can't remember their names. Honestly and truly. Teachers that have been impactful in my life and I can't remember their names. Whether it happened early in life or their name just escapes me. But I remember how that person made me feel. Whether good or bad. Because that's what we have to think about. The interactions that we have can leave someone feeling better or worse about themselves. So we have those same ideas repeated, and how love should be the thing that bubbles to the surface. It's not about what you do. It's not about all the things that you know. It's about how you interact with others. And I think at the deeper part of these verses, that's what it's about. How you interact with others. It's not about being a know-it-all. It's not about collecting all the knowledge. It's not about showing off. It's about, hey, do you need? I got you. Hey, you know what? Let me put your needs above my own. I know I don't have that much, but let me give you, and now we both at least have a little bit. Goes on in verse 11. I'm skipping just a little bit. Well, not skipping. I'm not going as in depth in that portion. When I was a child, I spoke and thought and reasoned as a child. But when I grew up, I put away childish things. Now we see things imperfectly, like puzzling reflections in a mirror. But then we will see everything with perfect clarity. All that I know now is partial and incomplete, but then I will know everything completely, just as God now knows me completely. So when you're a kid, I mean, well, when I was a kid, I don't know. I don't know. I might be talking to perfect people. Perfect people might be able to hear me right now. When I was a kid, it just seemed like mom always had money, you know? She always had money. She always, buying stuff and doing this. And when I wanted something, oh, we don't have money for that. Oh, I see you using your money to buy this and buy that, so you must have money. What's going on with that? Where's my piece of the pie? It's so easy when you're kids to think that you know something, right? And when you're a kid, you don't think like, oh, the electricity costs money. You don't think, oh, these luxuries that we have cost money. The roof over my head costs money. You're just thinking, oh, this is nice to have. It's provided for me. And that's about it. But you want more, as a kid. Oh, I want this toy. I want this candy. I want these clothes. I want these shoes. You're not thinking about the toll that it's going to take on the parents. You're just like, well, I want it. It's there and you have money. So let's do it. That is a very dangerous thought process to be in as an adult. Because you will end up on the streets looking very well dressed. But when you encounter those thought processes as an adult, it changes so much. Because now you're thinking, okay, I made this much of my check. I need to stay in budget or else something's not going to get paid. Something's going to get turned off. I'm not going to be able to go forward if I'm in the mindset that I can just spend whatever I want. When we're children, we think like children. When you become an adult, you're supposed to think like an adult. And the verses go on to say that basically we don't know everything. We don't know everything. It says that our knowledge is partial. So you get the very first part of that. The chapter is like, if I speak all the languages of man and I know the languages of angels and I don't have love, then it's nothing. And if I know prophecy and I know God's plans for humanity and I don't have love, then it's nothing. If I sacrifice my body and give all my money to the poor and I'm able to boast about it, but I have nothing. Like it's nothing without love. Then Paul goes down to reiterate, like, all of the languages that you could speak without love, the love is gonna last. The languages will not. The knowledge will not. So I think that we're grabbing after this. We're grabbing after, and this is in Corinth. These are people who are learned. This is philosophical Mecca, to where they're thinking. They're thinkers. And they said, look, you feel like you have, like you're in this time frame, or rather this crossroads, this intersection of life and commerce, to where you need to know these languages. You need to know what other people are thinking and talking about. But without love, you're not really doing anything. So now he reiterates again. You need to have love. It's this whole chapter is you need to have love, and this is what love is. You need to have love, and this is what love is. So it sees in verse 12. Now we see things imperfectly, like puzzling reflections in a mirror. I don't even like that, in a mirror, because a mirror is smooth and nice. You can see clearly in a mirror. It is very easy to see clearly in a mirror nowadays. Back then, they probably had bronze mirrors, to where the reflection wasn't all that great. But if you think more so of looking at your reflection in water, that is a mirror, technically. It is not a man-made mirror, a mirror nonetheless. And it is difficult to see details in that mirror. Nowadays, mirrors are mass-produced, and we know the science behind them. Well, for the most part, because some people refuse to believe that mirrors are a real thing. That is their choice. But the principles come from nature. We found a way to reproduce it. That's all it is. Reflection and refraction of light. That's been happening off the water surface for about as long as the Earth has been a thing. What we have internalized is only a piece of. We don't have the RAM nor the storage capacity to know everything. But there's some people out there who will seek to know everything. Said that journey is not the biggest thing, because if you seek all this knowledge but you've never loved and you don't have the capacity to give love, it's not worth anything. If you feel that you want to seek knowledge, by all means seek knowledge. But if you don't have someone to pass it on to, you don't have any legacy at all. And I'm not saying that you go out and make sure you have a family, 2.5 kids with a white picket fence and a house in the suburbs. No. There are some people that never have children, but they have a great legacy. It's about sharing what you know so that the next generation is better off. That's one way to show your love, by making sure somebody doesn't fall into traps that you avoided or something that you did fall into. I don't know. I could go all day, night, week, month, year long just on love, because it's something that we kind of take for granted and that we misinterpret a lot, and we try to show that it's a metaphysical, chemical manifestation of so many different things. And yeah, it can sometimes cause some of those things, but that's not the definition thereof. It's not, oh, well, if I have butterflies in my stomach, then I must be in love. It's, you can have butterflies in your stomach before you going to do public speaking. Does that mean that you love it? No, most people are definitely afraid. having your legacy, sharing with people, putting somebody else's needs before your own. To me, those are just some of the practical ways that we can embody love. And there's just this one verse, this last verse. 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 13. 3 things will last forever. Now get this. It's saying that 3 things, just these 3 things, will always be. They will always be there. These 3 things. Alright? 3 things. The first is faith. Now, I don't know if you're Christian, if you're listening to this. The Bible defines faith in Hebrews chapter 11 verse 1 as the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So it's kind of like having that foresight, looking to the future and hoping that things will come to fruition and living as if they will. Second is hope. Hope, being able to pick yourself up off the ground because something better is right there. And love. You know, the thing that we've been talking about all this time. That it is a capacity to put others before yourself and have somebody also do that for you. So that you're not going through it all by yourself. To have a community of people that are for you, that lift you up, whether that's family, friends, chosen family, it can be anybody. And he goes on with these last words. And the greatest of these is love. So look, if you had to put your stock in anything, I would say put your stock in love. Like real love, not lust. You know, not, oh, let me love this person now so that they can do something for me. No. Real, honest, good love. Love that is not self-seeking. Love that is there, always, unconditionally. Unconditional love doesn't mean that you're always going to like what the other person does, that you're always going to want to be around them, that you're always going to want to do what they want to do. Unconditional just means that no matter what, good or bad, the love will be there. It is not dependent on any one thing that the other person is doing. And if that is the case, then maybe reevaluate what you consider love. It's not supposed to be a conditional thing. And that's where I feel most of us need a new definition of love. Because we see love so often as just falling in love, being in love with somebody. Not saying, I see the attributes of love in you. I see that you're patient. I see that you're kind. I see that you're not boastful. I see that you're not prideful. I see that you're not self-seeking. Being able to see these attributes in somebody, to me, is what love is. Being able to see that they're not going to take my mistakes and lord them over me. That when I do make a mistake, that they're not gonna hold on to it, but that they'll let it fizzle out. Say, you know what? Let's just get past it. Let's move on with life, because it doesn't make sense to live in the past. I'm right there with you. Look for somebody who embodies these. Look, I've said it a million times. I am a Christian. So this is where my moral compass is. Am I saying it's the only place that you can find a moral compass? No. I've met other people that live Christianity better than Christians. Mahatma Gandhi says, I like Christ. I don't like Christians. It's because the ones that he met had some work to do. Maybe they didn't want to work on it. Maybe they were feeling a little boastful. But when it comes down to it, that is what it is. Love. Something that will be forever. I'm reminded of a quote by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Love is the only force that can turn an enemy into a friend. Love is the only force that can turn an enemy into a friend. And it's there forever. You don't have to go around looking for something else. But if we can focus on these concepts of love, I feel like we would be better off as individuals, as communities, and as a race, i.e. human race. It is, to me, that simple. Okay, so I do want to give a Black History fact. I didn't give one last night. That's shame on me. I wanted to give for one of the facts because we're talking about religious studies. I've met this person in real life. I've read a portion of one of their books. I've yet to finish it, but the first Black or African American chaplain of the United States Senate was Rear Admiral Barry C. Black, who is retired. He served since 2003 in that capacity. A Seventh-day Adventist, which I am Seventh-day Adventist as well. He previously served as the Navy's Chief of Chaplains. Black, or Barry Black, provides pastoral care and opens Senate sessions with prayer. So that is the Black fact for today. Or Black fact. That is. Might need to coin that phrase. What did we do last night? I try to keep it on brand. Okay. Let's see. Last night was Valheim. So oh no. Alright, so it's a survival game. Valheim is a survival game, and it's also about exploration. So we have Matthew Henson, who was an American explorer. Matthew Alexander Henson was an African American explorer who accompanied Robert Peary on 7 voyages to the Arctic over a period of nearly 23 years. They spent a total of 18 years on expeditions together. Yeah, and this is early, and I don't want to say life, in the age of the Americas. Not super early, but we're talking 1866 is when he was born. 1955 is when he passed. So as far as exploration goes, yeah, that's early in the exploration of the US, because we've only been a country for what? Is it 200 some odd years? Yeah, not 300 years yet. Not 300 yet, right? Hold on. Let me fact check myself. $249. Yeah, so not 300 yet. I was right. Yeah, we will be 250 years old this year. So on July 4th, it will be America's 250th birthday. But as of right now, still on 249. As we go forward, or as you know, you go forward in life, I go forward in life, I would just, tomorrow's Valentine's Day. Or well, depending on how you look at it, the evening and the morning or the first day might be today's Valentine's Day. It's categorized, or well, it's popularized by greeting card companies who want to make an extra buck and sell, chocolates and commercialize and really lean into the idea of love, quote unquote love. But I would invite you to do a little soul searching, to think about what makes love and how you choose to love and choose your loved ones. But to always remember that you are worthy of love. You are worthy of the love you want to receive. And if somebody isn't giving you that love, have a talk with them. Literally, just talk it out. Say, hey, this is how I want to be loved. And if they can't do that, then something has to change. Start with finding your love language. How do you best receive love? Is it when somebody buys you gifts? Is it when somebody tells you how good a job you're doing? Those words of affirmation? Look into yourself first. Because by understanding yourself, you'll be able to understand also how you show love. Because usually that primary love language that you like receiving love in is how you will show love. But that doesn't mean that's how the other person receives love. But remember that love is the thing that will last. It's not all these, it's not video games, it's not Twitch streamers, it's not YouTube, it's not, seeking knowledge. It's how we interact with people, how we treat people. That's the thing that'll last. Well, I feel like I've been chewing on your ear for long enough. I don't want to become super annoying. But I want to let you know that I love you, no matter who you are. I'm praying for you, no matter who you are, because I believe that you are worthy of love. that you have the capacity to love, and that love never fails. Let's go out with a quick word of prayer. Dear Lord and most gracious Heavenly Father, thank you and praise you a million times over, Lord, because you love us. You gave us the capacity to love. And Lord, as we go on in our lives, please help us to be able to speak up when we're not feeling loved, whatever that may be. And Lord, give us the wherewithal to understand when somebody isn't feeling loved, so that we can make sure that they do feel love. Lord, help us to show love and spread love, and to be who you would have us to be. Help us to know what true love is and when it's being falsified. In your whole name we do pray. Amen. Alright, so there will be a stream tomorrow. I'm just gonna quick promote. I'm trying to do 6 o'clock. So 6 p.m. have a stream. It'll be something random. Don't have much planned beyond that. But if you can come out, appreciate it. If not, still appreciate it. Tomorrow is Valentine's Day. Spend it with somebody you love. You know, there's Galentine's Day where girls go out with just the girls. Bros, do something like that, because even sometimes we don't get to say I love you to the people that we love because they're guys. Say it, earn it, show it.